Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Abby. I'm with Fitness is Medicine. Today we're going to do a workout using one set of dumbbells and a fit ball if you have one. If you don't, you can use a sturdy chair of some sort and a TheraBand. So those are all the things you're going to need for today. So go ahead and make sure you come into this warmed up. Do 5 to 10 minutes of stair climbing or treadmill or going for a walk or riding your stationary bike or something. Come into this ready to move. Okay, so we're going to start off with a seated row using some dumbbells. So I'm going to sit on my fit ball, but you can also sit in a sturdy chair if you don't have a ball at home. So I've got my dumbbells right here beside my feet, and what I want to do is lean over, but with a flat back. So I don't want to put pressure here. I want to keep a nice flat back. I'm going to lean over and pick up those weights. Now, I want you to maintain this flat back, and you're putting pressure in your feet as well. So what I'm going to have you do is row up. So you're driving your elbows towards the ceiling, thinking about squeezing those shoulder blades together as you row. So this is an easy way to do a row at home without putting your back at an increased risk. If this hurts your back, go ahead and stop, and then you can always message me and say it's too much, I can't do it. There's a way to do it standing, but I think this is a better way to keep your back supported. So really keep that back flat, pressing your feet into the ground, shoulders stay down away from your ears, and you're driving those elbows towards the ceiling. Keep breathing. Now, you should actually be feeling this in your abs just a little bit because you're engaging them to keep your back as flat as possible. All right, good job. Okay, now we're going to transition to a sturdy kitchen chair or bench of some sort. And we're going to do sit to stands. We've done these many times in the past. The difference here is I want to go as slowly as possible both directions. So remember that if you have knee pain, you can stagger your feet just a little bit. So if you put one foot in front of the other, depending, you can decide. But usually if the one that has knee pain, think about putting out in front just a little, not too far. But just a little, staggering your feet. It helps you transfer your weight more easily from here to here. So you're actually kind of doing a little bit of a weight transfer. So we're going to go slowly. So stand up as slowly as you can. And then most importantly, sit as slowly as you can. No plopping. Stand. And if you can, do it without hanging on. So use your hands, keep them up here. If you absolutely need to, you can use your hands on your knees. That gives you just a little bit of support. Or if it has handles with the chair you're using and you really need to press up, that's okay. I'd rather have you do that than not be able to get up, or conversely, plop down. Or sometimes if you can't use your hands, you lean so far forward that you kind of lose your balance and fall forward. So slowly sit down, really control it. Make those muscles work as hard as possible. Really, really slow on that way down. Don't plop. This is 6. And those hands come forward kind of as a counterbalance. Like when I do squats, often I just put my hands forward. It's a little bit of a counterbalance so I can really sit back in my heels. So you're really sitting back. Just sit down at the very, very end. This is 8. As slowly as you can. Don't sit down, don't sit down. Okay. 9. You should really be feeling it in these quads now, especially on this part right here. And 10. Remember to keep breathing. And 10. All right, very good. When you're doing these at home, even if you're just getting up to go get a drink of water or getting up to change the laundry or something, Try not to use your hands. Practice it at home. The other thing you can do is maybe do 5 quickly before you go, you know, get your drink of water, get a snack or whatever. Okay, now we're gonna lower down to the floor. Refresh my screen here. And we're gonna do some bicycle abs. I've got a couple of my things I'm gonna use here. Okay, so down on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. You can put your hands right beside your hips. Now remember, before we do anything in this position, you want to think about flattening your back to the mat. Don't be able to slide anything underneath there. Engage that core, engage those abs. And we're going to do bicycle abs. Now you can start off by just switching your feet, really thinking about maintaining that back against the floor. And if you're able to do that without back pain, just lift one up. And then, if you're able to do that without back pain and it feels doable, remember, start with that back flat, hands beside your hips. Really focus on keeping that back flat to the mat. If you need to, part way through, as you feel it coming up, stop, readjust, press that back into the floor, and then keep going. Breathe. 9 and 10. Okay, good. So anywhere along there, if you need to put one foot down, that's okay. And then sometimes, you know, it may be easier than the other. Your back is kind of complaining, it doesn't like it, then, you know, just alternate it. Put one foot down, but not the other, and figure out how you can do it. Just really focus on flattening that back to the floor. Okay, next. Excuse me. Okay. We're going to do clamshells. So on the floor still, roll over onto your side, pull your feet up towards your hips. And if you need to, use a pillow here to try to keep your head in line with your spine. So we're going to do clamshells. This is a great hip stabilizer. You want your hips and your shoulders stacked on top of each other. You're going to lift your knees apart, but keep your feet together. Now, don't open up so far that you open up your hips and you kind of start rolling over. You don't need to do that. It actually, this engages your glutes exactly how they're supposed to. And then once you open up your hips, you actually kind of disengage them. So nice and slowly. It's not a very large range of motion. Keep those hips stacked and your shoulders stacked. Nice and slowly, both directions. Good. If this is an exercise you've done a lot of and you need a little bit more resistance, you can put a band around your knees and give yourself a little bit extra. Okay, now we're going to turn over, do the other side. So bring those feet up toward your heels, up towards your hips. Stack your hips and stack your shoulders. And just open up those knees, keep those feet together. So we're isolating those glutes. The more you can do to engage your glutes and get them built up and get them strong, it really is a really great thing for knee stability and hip stability and back, because when your glutes don't fire, your other muscle groups take over and then it creates a muscle imbalance. So this is a really good thing to do in addition to all those other large muscle groups. And 10. Okay, great. Now, remember, practice your good floor to stand transition here. Up on your hands and knees, one leg up, hand, bring that weight back, and then stand up. Okay, now we're gonna move over here for a shoulder stabilization. Oops, I need to raise my camera just a little higher. Okay, so I have my band wrapped around this little post right here, but you can use, you know, your treadmill or a banister or a door handle, anything like that will work. But you want the band about elbow height. So we're going to do internal rotation. So this is for the rotator cuff, the front part of the shoulder. We've done external rotation. Now I'm going to show you internal rotation. So you want your elbow at a 90-degree angle and your hand up like you're holding a platter, your palm up. And now we're just going to start here nice and straight and keep our elbow pinned to the side and just pulling straight across your tummy. Keeping that elbow in nice and tight. We're isolating this internal rotator here, or rotator cuff. And the beauty about using a band like this is you can loop it through and just use one side, or you can double it up. You can decide depending on the strength of your band and the difficulty of this exercise. Okay, so now we're going to switch sides. I'm just going to move it over here for the purposes of not having to turn around. But I'll turn sideways so you can see my elbow doesn't come out of my side. You can't see it. Just pulling it straight across my tummy. I'm keeping that 90-degree bend in my elbow. One thing you can do to make this a little more difficult if you want is do a little bit of a tandem stance. That actually calls in a little bit more core. Trying to stay stable. And 10, good, all right. Internal shoulder, internal rotation. Okay, we're gonna end with we're gonna end with a shoulder press, but we're gonna sit on a ball. If you don't have a ball, of course you can stand, but whenever we do shoulder press, I wanna make sure we're not taxing your low back. So if you do have low back pain, sit down for a shoulder press, things where you're gonna press weight over your head because it can create some compression in your low back. Now, if you have dumbbells at home, I want you to just grab one. So maybe, like I'm just gonna use the one that we used for the row earlier, so just use one of those. And we're gonna press it straight overhead. So, nice and tall. This is gonna keep your elbows in because you're holding this weight right here between your hands. So you're keeping those elbows in. And the beauty about just using one weight like this is you can limit the range of motion pretty easily. So if I keep it right in here, I'm going to have a better chance at not eliciting shoulder pain. I don't have shoulder pain, so I'm going to do more range of motion. But if you find that if you get up here and you have shoulder pain, just do that smaller range of motion. You're still activating the same muscles. If you find that this weight is too much, you can go get a smaller weight. The other thing is I grabbed my gallon jug here because this is another great thing to do with something like this. It's actually a little lighter than that, but because it's odd shaped and it's water, it's a little bit more challenging to press up overhead. Let's do 2 more. So you can use anything. If you don't have dumbbells at home, use a gallon jug. A gallon weighs, a pound or 8 pounds. You can vary the weight of it really easily just by pouring out some water. Or you can use a medicine ball for this one arm or one object shoulder press. I like it because it keeps your elbows in nice and tight, and then remember to keep your shoulders down away from your ears. Okay, if you have any questions or if you have any need any substitutions, don't be afraid to message me, and I will see you next time. Keep moving, everybody.